Finally, the Chargers made big decision. They officially released Joey Bosa on Wednesday. While injuries might have taken away his shot at the Hall of Fame, Bosa will still be remembered as one of the franchise's all-time best pass rushers. His impact on the field was undeniable. This was not an easy decision, and its effects will continue to influence the Chargers for a long time. What's up, buddies? Welcome back. If you are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We cover all AFC West news here on this channel. Before moving on, let me know your thoughts in the comments about this decision. So, this move, though, isn't shocking. Financially, it just made too much sense for the Chargers to part ways with Bosa, especially with his massive $36 million cap hit. It was a tough call, but one that had been looming. The timing also lines up with the roster bonus deadline, leaving the Chargers no realistic way to retain him without further commitments to a player unlikely to be on the roster in 2025. Bosa's legacy with the Chargers is complicated. He never quite reached his full potential, partly due to injuries that limited his availability. That's always going to be a part of his story, what could have been. However, he will be remembered as one of the standout players during his time with the team, even if he didn't completely live up to the lofty expectations. It's also worth noting that Bosa represents a significant chapter in Chargers history. As one of the last players drafted when the team was still based in San Diego, he carries sentimental value for fans who remember those days. This move is another reminder of the franchise's evolution since then. Moving forward, the Chargers will need to look at options to address the defensive gaps left by Bosa's departure. There are plenty of intriguing names in free agency, particularly at cornerback and edge rusher, which could help them bolster the defense if they're unable to retain Khalil Mack. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate this offseason. Releasing Bosa frees up over $25 million in cap space, giving the Chargers nearly $90 million overall heading into the offseason. That flexibility is crucial for a team looking to reshape its roster. While this was a tough decision, the writing was on the wall. It's not the ending anyone wanted for Bosa, but it's the reality of the NFL's business side. Chargers GM Joe Ortiz mentioned at the Combine how they'd love for Bosa to retire as a Charger, but everyone knew that was unlikely given the financial situation. After the dust settles, fans will likely appreciate what Bosa brought to the team. Drafted third overall, he came in with sky-high expectations and delivered at times. He's second all-time in franchise history in sacks, behind only Leslie O'Neal, which is no small feat. That's an elite company. Still, it feels like he didn't fully realize his potential. The problem was staying on the field. Injuries were a constant in his career, some severe, some incredibly painful, and they limited his ability to maintain that dominance consistently. In his last season with the Chargers, Bosa gave everything he could to the team. He even took a pay cut to try to make it work, but the production just didn't justify his contract. Over the last 3 years, he didn't eclipse 6.5 sacks in a single season. Even last year, while playing 14 games, he managed just 5 sacks. That's a far cry from the level needed to command the kind of salary he was set to earn. You can't really call Joey Bosa a bust, not from a talent standpoint. When he was on the field, he lived up to the hype. The problem was staying healthy. Over 9 seasons, he missed 41 games, and he only played in 16 or more games 3 times. 2 of those seasons were before the league moved to a 17-game schedule. It's been a roller coaster ride with Bosa. He held out as a rookie, but still managed to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Then there were incidents like the one with Philadelphia fans while supporting his brother, and the Jaguars game where he slammed his helmet, costing the team. Fans also voiced frustrations about offsides penalties, but honestly, that's something many great pass rushers deal with because of how aggressive they play. Now the focus shifts to the Chargers' future. With around $90 million in salary cap space, the spotlight falls squarely on Khalil Mack. This move adds even more urgency to re-signing him. As it stands, the only edge rushers on the roster are Tuli Tuipulotu and Chris Rumph II, making Mack's return absolutely critical. If the Chargers can't bring Mack back, the edge rushing unit becomes dangerously thin. Alarm bells should be ringing if that happens. Despite his age, Mack remains incredibly productive and a vital piece of the defense. He's still an elite run defender and a powerful presence on the field. Khalil Mack's return is crucial, especially now with the extra cap space the Chargers have created. The additional financial flexibility allows them not only to re-sign Mack, but also to address other key areas of need. If they had tried to bring back Joey Bosa at $36 million and Mack at $22 to $25 million, it would have severely limited their ability to improve the roster outside of the draft. Mack is an incredibly well-rounded player, and as much as you might be optimistic about Tuli Tuipulotu's potential, the team doesn't have a clear successor for both Bosa and Mack in the building right now. Keeping Mack ensures some stability on the defensive front while giving the team time to plan for the future. Drafting an edge rusher who could eventually take over makes sense, but this team isn't ready to move on from Mack just yet. Losing both Bosa and Mack in in the same offseason would be a significant challenge to overcome. However, if Mack's return doesn't happen, there are options in free agency that the Chargers could consider. A name like Josh Uche could quickly rise to the top of their target list. He's a versatile edge rusher who might help fill the void if both Bosa and Mack are no longer part of the picture. There are several other defensive free agents worth exploring as well, and the Chargers will need to be strategic about how they allocate their newfound cap space. Josh Sweat is another player I recommend Chargers to consider now. He could bring an immediate impact to the Chargers' defensive front, especially if they lose Khalil Mack or need a capable edge rusher to pair with Tuli Tuipulotu. Sweat's ability to disrupt plays in the backfield, as shown in the Super Bowl, highlights the kind of talent the Chargers would want to bring in to maintain their defensive effectiveness. His projected contract of $18 million over 3 years is reasonable for a player of his caliber, especially when you consider the kind of production he brings on the edge. At 28 years old, Sweat is still in his prime and could provide a solid multi-year solution for the Chargers at a position that's always critical for success. The fact that he's played on a dominant defensive line also means he's accustomed to performing at a high level and understands what it takes to excel in crucial moments. That championship experience and mindset could be invaluable for a team with Super Bowl aspirations. Overall, Sweat checks a lot of boxes for what the Chargers would need in a potential replacement for Mack or Bosa. He's productive, experienced, and still relatively young, making him a top target if the Chargers look to bolster their edge rusher position in free agency. Of course, he's just one of several options for the Chargers could explore, and with the free agency period quickly approaching, it will be interesting to see how the team prioritizes filling these key defensive roles. Byron Browning is certainly another productive edge rusher who can create impact plays, especially at a more affordable cost. His ability to generate pressure consistently, as evidenced by that 14.2% pressure rate, is something the Chargers could use to bolster their edge rushing unit without breaking the bank. Browning also brings versatility and athleticism to the position, which could help the Chargers rotate him into different defensive schemes. His familiarity with the AFC West, particularly his time with the Broncos, is an added bonus since he already understands the division's dynamics and matchups. He may not have the high sack totals that a player like Josh Sweat offers, but as a bounce-back candidate, Browning could provide great value for a team looking to fill out its depth chart. Plus, considering the Chargers' recent track record of finding success with bounce-back candidates on short-term deals, he seems like a natural fit. Adding Browning would allow the Chargers to address other areas of need in free agency or the draft while still maintaining some level of pass rush production. He wouldn't come with the high price tag of a marquee name, but could still offer quality snaps and contribute meaningfully. Ultimately, whether the Chargers decide to go big with a player like Josh Sweat or aim for value with someone like Byron Browning, their approach will shape the defensive identity heading into the 2025 season. The edge rusher market has several intriguing options, and it will be exciting to see how the Chargers prioritize their resources to address this key position. As the Chargers plan for the future, they'll also need to address their cornerback situation. With super young starters like Tier Tart and Cam Hart on rookie contracts, adding a veteran presence to that group would make a lot of sense. This year's free agency class is loaded with talented corners, giving the Chargers plenty of options to consider. Byron Murphy is another intriguing option for the Chargers, especially given his strong performance last season. Coming off a career year with 6 interceptions and thriving in a zone-heavy, blitz-heavy scheme under Brian Flores, he clearly has the skill set to fit into the Chargers' defensive approach. His ability to excel both outside and in the slot, logging over 600 snaps outside and 300 in the slot in 2024, adds versatility to his profile. If the Chargers are looking to bolster their secondary, Murphy's pairing with Tarheeb Still could create one of the more dangerous ball-hawking cornerback duos in the league. With Still's 4 interceptions from last season and Murphy's knack for turning the ball over, the Chargers could potentially develop a defense that capitalizes on big plays and game-changing turnover. Improving the defense, which was already the top scoring unit in the league last season, is just one way to win. Let's see how the Chargers play this time. Share your thoughts in the comment section.